Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. I'm Marlene Marks, your host, bringing you the top stories from Israel and surrounds. But I also want to know how you are all doing. I know many of us are in lockdowns wherever we are around the world. We are in our 2-week period, but more about that a little later. But the Israel Brief will be keeping you company every Monday to Thursday on this platform and on our YouTube channel, which you can find at the Israel Brief. And all you have to do, if you want your daily fix of Israeli news, is simply click on the subscribe button. But let's get into those top stories, and we begin, as always, with the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to a time when this is not a dominant story. But let's talk about it. And as just mentioned, Israelis are currently in a lockdown, which many are referring to as a fake lockdown, because people haven't been very good at obeying the law. So the health ministry announced last night that as of Friday, we will be entering a 10-day, much stricter lockdown period. So what this will entail is closing all the schools, very, very severely restricting the amount of people who can be in an office, and also supermarkets will be closed from 7 p.m. This is to try and bring down the surge of infections, which many in the health ministry attribute to the British variant of the COVID-19 strain. While all this is happening, Israel is still vaccinating and is still leading very much with regards to vaccinations. And as of yesterday, we had vaccinated 1,340,000 of our citizens and climbing. And just moments ago, Moderna announced that they would be shipping 300,000 units of their vaccine to Israel by the end of the week. Now, this comes at a time when Israel is being criticized by many as not vaccinating Palestinians. And Amnesty International is the latest to add their voice. There is an article that's currently up on our website called Vaccination Nation, which explains who is responsible for vaccinating Palestinians. But I will reiterate, as I did several days ago, that according to the Oslo Accords agreed upon in 1995, Israel is not responsible for the healthcare of Palestinians. This falls under the remit of the Palestinian Authority and includes vaccinations. The Palestinian Authority and their health ministry have also said that they don't necessarily want any help from Israel. Yesterday they said they might reach out to Israeli officials for help, and from Israel's side we have said if we are asked for help, we will give help. But what is very interesting, just a little tidbit of information, is the 4 countries leading the quest for vaccinating their citizens are Israel, followed by the United Arab Emirates, followed by Bahrain, and followed by the United States in that order. So it's just an interesting side bit of information, but those who are focused on peace seem to be focused on their citizens. And now, while we're talking about normalization and peace, let's take a look at where we currently stand. It was announced earlier today that Israel will be opening 2 temporary missions in the UAE, an embassy in Abu Dhabi, the capital, and a general consul in Dubai. Now, what this means is that hopefully in time they will grow into permanent missions, and Israel's former ambassador to Turkey, Ambassador Naer, will be heading up the mission to the UAE. And this joins Israel's temporary mission in Manama, that's the capital of Bahrain. And very soon, well, at least by the end of the month, we look forward to our mission in Rabat, Morocco, being open again. However, not everybody is infected with the peace that seems to be going around the region. There is a lawmaker in Algeria who is trying to promote that anybody who talks about peace with Israel will face criminal charges. He wants to criminalize any normalization with Israel. Clearly, he didn't get the memo that the rest of the region seems to have gotten. And now we come back for our final story to our elections. Yes, we are on the road to elections, which should take place around the 23rd of March. And what is the current status Well, just earlier today, the Blue and White announced that they will not be joining with Yamina to write. Yamina have announced that they might be splitting because Naftali Bennett and Bezalel Smotrich cannot seem to agree on anything, cannot seem to build bridges. Gideon Sa'ar, who has broken away from the Likud to form the New Hope Party, said that should he win and should he have to form a coalition with Prime Minister Netanyahu, there is no way he will enter into any kind of rotation agreement for the premiership. And Ron Huldai, the mayor of Tel Aviv, who has broken away to form his new party called the Israelis, announced that he will have 4 women very high on his list. So exciting times indeed, and those are our top stories. But just a reminder, if you want some content to keep you company in your lockdown, look no further than our website, which you can find at www.layoftheland.online. We're also on Facebook, and we'd love you to join our growing community. We're at Lottel's site. We look a little something like this. Please give us a follow, a share, and share our content. It's there for the sharing. Also, don't forget that you can subscribe to us on YouTube at The Israel Brief and join us on Twitter at Lay of the Land 5. That's Lay of the Land with the digit 5. So with the Wednesday edition of The Israel Brief, I'm Rolene Marks from my lockdown locale here in Modi'in, and we'll chat again tomorrow.